Dignity and Ellis Harsham, Part 2. No children were harmed? Good evening, and may peace be with you. I'm Bishop Laura Grimes, and this is Part 2 in the series on Dignity and Ellis Harsham. On Wednesday, April 20th, the Dayton Daily News published an article exposing the decade-long ministry of Father Ellis Harsham at Dignity Dayton, also known as Living Beatitudes Community. According to an earlier article in the Dayton Daily News, dated June 27, 1994, Father Harsham left the Roman Catholic priesthood in 1994 after an official church investigation of multiple allegations of child sexual abuse resulted in a substantiated allegation of sexual conduct or contact with a minor according to Ohio law, that is, a child of 15 years or less. Dignity USA President Mark Matson was interviewed for the recent article and said things which I, as a priest, a mother, and a survivor of clergy sexual abuse myself, find very distressing. Some are outright lies, some are clever and deceptive half-truths, and all display a terrible lack of concern for the safety of children in both LGBT and straight families attending Dignity chapters, and for the emotional healing of survivors of clergy sexual abuse. For full clarity, I will read into the record all 4 paragraphs reporting Matson's statements, then analyze each in turn. Quote, Dignity USA President Mark Matson said that many of Living Beatitudes' roughly 50 members knew Harsham had allegations of abuse in his past. But Matson, who lives in the Columbus area, said he confirmed only Tuesday with the Archdiocese that Harsham was involved in a substantiated case of sexual abuse against a minor. Given that, quote, compelling, end quote, information, Matson said it is, quote, the right thing, end quote, that Harsham stepped down, adding that he did not direct Harsham or the local group to make the move. Matson said Living Beatitudes is largely an adult community with no daycare, teen counseling, or other access to children outside a Sunday service. Quote, you do have a certain compassion, close quote, Matson said. Quote, it's been so long ago, and he's paid the price. That's what the community has struggled with. We're a Christian community, and there's forgiveness. Close quote. Ah, forgiveness, a crucial and blessed doctrine of Christianity, and one that is consistently and sacrilegiously misused to re-traumatize victims and fail to exercise true compassion for perpetrators by calling them to gospel repentance and healing. But we'll get to that in the next installment. Let's start today with the first paragraph and listen to it again to refresh our memories. Dignity USA President Mark Matson said that many Living Beatitudes members, roughly 50 members, knew Harsham had allegations of abuse in his past. But Matson, who lives in the Columbus area, said he confirmed only Tuesday with the Archdiocese that Harsham was involved in a substantiated case of sexual abuse against a minor. First sentence. Many Dignity Dayton members knew that Harsham had allegations of abuse in his past. This is technically true, though so seriously incomplete as to constitute lying by omission. That omission, the many members who knew of his allegations, included most of the lay and ordained leadership, almost certainly including long-term community priests, Father Dick Young and Father Tom Stricker, as well as Tom's wife, Ms. Patty Stricker, presently the vice president of the board. I was told by Father Dick Young in a phone call on Friday, April 23rd, that the leadership knew of allegations against Ellis Harsham roughly 10 years ago, when he asked to be added to the rota of priestly presiders for Mass. Father Young told me they granted this request because they believed all the allegations to be not credible. I asked him why they believed the allegations were not credible. He answered, I can't really remember, it's been a long time. I went on to ask what careful investigative process they had followed to ensure that such grave allegations were not credible. Father Young repeated, "I can't really remember. It's been a long time." I reeled in shock at these statements, because I promise you that every detail of this case will remain burned into my brain until the day I die. And when I learned of the allegations from a visitor to St. Junia Chapel Mass and began to research them, a 5-minute internet search turned up an extensive entry about Ellis Harsham at the major site which tracks priests accused of sexual misconduct, bishop-accountability.org. It contained links to 20 articles in major local and national news sources, 7 of them from the Dayton Daily News, both from the original case in 1994 and in follow-up articles in 2006 and 2007. These mentioned multiple accusers claiming that Ellis Harsham gave them pornography, some of whom also alleged that he physically molested them as well. The articles linked included the one I quoted above, which included the information Mark Mattson claims he confirmed with the Archdiocese only on Tuesday, April 19th, that Ellis Harsham was suspended from Roman Catholic priestly ministry because of a substantiated, not just credible, allegation of sexual conduct or contact with a minor according to Ohio law, a felony according to present Ohio law. The Archdiocese unfortunately withheld the information of whether it was sexual conduct, that is, vaginal or anal rape or penetration with an object or oral sex, or sexual contact, that is, fondling and touching of erogenous zones. In any case, it was widely publicized at the time, and the information was easily accessible afterwards. So if the Dignity Dayton leaders who decided to grant Harsham presider status knew of these facts, they were complicit in grave evil. If they did not know, they were grossly negligent and clearly incompetent to adjudicate such a serious matter. Either way, they should step down from their positions of lay and ordained leadership, because they are directly responsible for the shock and trauma now being suffered by the community, and, more importantly, for any harm that may have come to children, teens, or young adults in the past 10 years through repeated misconduct by a man trusted and honored as a priest in their community in the years since their decision.
You can stop there.
So just stop?
It didn't
Okay.
stop at all.
Okay.
You could pick up again if you want.
Okay, great. They decided to risk the safety of children, including mine, and the good name of Dignity USA, Dignity Dayton, and every priest who has served the community, including me, and to slap survivors in the face, again including me, by utter lack of concern for their anguish, all on grounds they cannot now adduce. Why take such terrible risks and impose such horrific pain? Was it necessary for the preaching of the gospel and the celebration of the sacraments? Not in a community which already had 2 priests and which highlights lay ministry. They took the risks and imposed the pain so someone who had already enjoyed and misused 26 years of the ordained ministry, which is denied to so many qualified Catholics, including all female Catholics, could avoid the terrible fate of sitting humbly in the pews with his sisters and brothers as an ordinary member of the community. Not the call I would make in such a situation. Would you? Another distressing moment of that phone call was learning that several years after helping make that dangerous decision, Father Dick Young was, ironically, one of the people who crafted the dignity policy forbidding lay or ordained people with even one credible allegation of sexual abuse to serve as presiders at local chapters. He confirmed that the question of Ellis Harsham was revisited at that time, a golden opportunity to undo the initial mistake. But this opportunity was lost, as Father Young told me with a chuckle. I remember that we all discussed how great it was that we knew the allegations against Ellis were not credible. Really great, and really funny. The mind boggles. Second sentence of the first paragraph. But Matson, who lives in the Columbus area, said he confirmed only Tuesday with the Archdiocese that Harsham was involved in a substantiated case of sexual abuse against a minor. This implies that no one at Dignity Dayton or Dignity USA, including Matson, had any idea that the allegations many admittedly knew of were more than groundless rumors. It also implies that Matson himself, who as president of Dignity USA was ultimately responsible for ensuring the enforcement of the new policy, may not have even heard of the allegations at all. Again, nothing could be further from the truth. I attended Palm Sunday Mass at Dignity Dayton 2 days after I spoke with Father Young, and I spoke before Mass with Father Tom Stricker, Board President Ms. Pamela Dolans, and Board Treasurer Mr. Phil Flynn. I asked if Mark Matson and the National Dignity Office knew of the allegations against Harsham and my request that the board take appropriate action. I was told by Father Tom Stricker that Harsham himself had approached Matson at last summer's National Dignity Conference when a presider at another local chapter stepped down in order to comply with the national policy about credible allegations. This sounds like a call for help, which, like Harsham's initial request to serve as a presider, was tragically mishandled. According to Tom Stricker, Mark Matson assured Ellis Harsham that he and the national office would be perfectly comfortable with his continuing status as a presider at Dignity Dayton. Tom Stricker did not tell me of the exact content of Harsham's disclosure to Matson, but I learned the most important and shocking fact most likely in it later the same day. After Mass, a longtime lay member of Dignity Dayton approached me to express his displeasure that I had raised the issue of the allegations, though I was quickly told to be quiet by the presider during the normal discussion and sharing period after the homily. He scornfully assured me, "We've all known about this forever, and we forgive Ellis." This "we" would undoubtedly include the long-term members and especially leaders of the community, almost certainly including Dick Young and both Strickers. So the statement directly contradicted Father Dick Young's statement during Friday's phone call that the community and its leadership considered each and every allegation to be not credible. I asked what they forgave Harsham for, and he said, well, he admits that he gave him the pornography, but that's not abuse. The child involved was not named, but it was most likely Stephen Cook, the first of several who came forward as adults and accused Ellis Harsham of repeatedly molesting him after giving him pornography, alcohol, and marijuana from 1975 to 1977. I pointed out that for an adult in a position of trust to give pornography to a minor is abuse, and the Dignity members snapped back, "He was 17, hardly a minor."